According to Professor Richard D. Wolff, today's development is nothing short of shocking. In his urgent political analysis, he explains that Iran and Qatar's coordinated attacks on Israel from multiple directions mark a turning point in Middle East power dynamics. Wolff argues this is not a minor skirmish, nor a contained border clash, but a calculated multi-front operation that forces us to confront the possibility of a larger regional war. In his view, simultaneous attacks carry deliberate strategic meaning. They are not accidental reactions. They are statements of capability, intent, and confidence. Professor Wolff stresses that when two nations choose to strike at the same time from multiple directions, they reveal more than their military reach. They expose their political calculations, their confidence in timing, and their belief that Israel's defenses can be tested in ways not seen before. For Wolff, the opening hook is immediate. Multi-front attacks are designed to show strategy, coordination, and intent. He points out that Israel's Iron Dome and other defense systems have been celebrated globally as near impenetrable. Yet these systems are designed with limits. Multi-directional attacks stretch those limits. Wolff explains that defending against simultaneous strikes requires decision-makers to prioritize, to decide in real time which incoming threats to intercept and which to risk leaving unchallenged. In his view, the genius of such operations lies not simply in destruction, but in creating uncertainty and forcing reactive decisions. From a military perspective, Wolff says, Iran and Qatar are not simply launching weapons. They are launching a test. By forcing Israel to divide attention and resources, they are probing for weaknesses. Each wave of missiles or drones is both an attack and an experiment. Every reaction from Israel provides data on capabilities, timing, and vulnerabilities. The professor emphasizes that this is not just about tactics, it is about regional coordination. The fact that Iran and Qatar are acting together demonstrates that alliances in the Middle East remain fluid but powerful. Wolff underscores that when states align their actions, they create a force multiplier that challenges Israel's position and signals to the international community that the region's balance of power is shifting. The coordination itself is the message. Timing, according to Wolff, is never coincidental. He insists that Iran and Qatar chose this moment carefully, factoring in political currents, regional opportunities, and global distractions. Striking now sends a signal not only to Israel but also to the United States, Europe, Russia, and China. In his analysis, timing in geopolitics often matters more than firepower. A well-timed strike reshapes perception and forces reassessment at every level. Wolff warns that beyond military and political strategy, the psychological weight of multi-front attacks is immense. Soldiers must stay alert around the clock, civilians must endure the fear of threats from multiple directions, and national leadership must project resilience while under immense strain. In his words, warfare today is as much about perception and morale as it is about territory. Multi-front attacks amplify uncertainty, erode confidence, and test social cohesion. Professor Wolff extends his analysis beyond Israel. He says that coordinated attacks like these inevitably ripple through global politics. Every major power recalculates strategy. Washington faces the dilemma of how to support Israel without triggering uncontrollable escalation. European capitals weigh economic interests against diplomatic commitments. Meanwhile, Russia and China observe closely, calculating how instability could serve their interests. Wolff argues that this is the sobering reality. Local actions in the Middle East trigger global tremors. He notes that regional players also face difficult choices. Gulf states, North African nations, and Turkey must reassess alliances. Some may seek distance, others may exploit the conflict for advantage. Egypt, with its historical ties and strategic interests, will be watching every development. According to Wolff, conflict rarely remains confined to its original participants. Ripple effects draw in neighbors, reshaping the entire regional landscape. Economically, the consequences are immediate. Wolff stresses that instability in the Middle East reverberates through energy markets, shipping routes, and investment flows. Investors react to risk, trade becomes more volatile, and supply chains feel pressure. For him, this is proof that modern warfare is not limited to battlefield casualties. It is intertwined with financial systems, trade security, and the daily lives of civilians across continents. On the ground, Wolff highlights the human costs. Civilians bear the brunt of displacement, infrastructure damage, and service disruption. Hospitals face overwhelming demand. Refugees flee toward uncertain futures. For Wolff, this underscores the reality that conflict today is measured not only in military gains or losses, but in long-term social scars. War disrupts education, commerce, and community life, creating consequences that persist for generations. Wolff warns that Israel's leadership now faces a strategic dilemma. Public expectation demands swift retaliation, but excessive or disproportionate responses risk escalation far beyond national borders. Every decision is scrutinized by allies and adversaries alike. In his words, modern leaders must navigate a maze where tactical choices collide with political, diplomatic, and public pressures simultaneously. He points out that resource allocation compounds the challenge. Multi-directional attacks stretch not only the military, but also civil infrastructure. Energy supplies, hospitals, and communication systems are stressed under conditions of continuous threat. According to Wolff, modern war is as much about sustaining a functioning society under pressure as it is about defending physical borders. Professor Wolff concludes that these events mark a critical reassessment moment for Israel and its allies. Traditional calculations of deterrence and predictability no longer apply. When threats can appear simultaneously from multiple directions, nations must maintain continuous innovative preparation. In his analysis, failure to adapt carries catastrophic risk. Wolff cautions that the next 48 hours will be decisive. Israel's response will determine whether this conflict remains contained or escalates into a regional war. All eyes are now on Tel Aviv, Washington, Tehran, and Doha. The choices made in this short window could reshape Middle Eastern politics for years to come. According to Wolff, the coordinated strikes by Iran and Qatar reveal a deeper truth. The old assumptions about dominance and deterrence in the region no longer hold. Capability has been demonstrated, coordination has been proven, and the world has been forced to recognize a shifting balance of power. This is Professor Wolff's view. His analysis cuts through the noise to underline what is at stake, not only for Israel, Iran, and Qatar, but for the broader international order. As he explains, the consequences of these attacks will ripple far beyond the battlefield, shaping alliances, economies, and perceptions across the globe. And so the urgency is undeniable. The balance of power is being tested in real time, and the outcomes are uncertain. This is why Wolff insists that every government, every investor, every policymaker must pay attention. What happens in the Middle East does not stay in the Middle East. It defines the course of global politics. Viewers, we will continue to follow Professor Richard Wolff's analysis as this story develops. For now, stay tuned. Like this video, subscribe to Clear Agenda, and comment with your thoughts. Do you believe these coordinated attacks mark the start of a new regional war? Or are they a calculated show of force designed to extract concessions? Share your view below and don't forget to stay with us for updates on this breaking story.